So today I'm going to be getting some pigment out of poppy petals. You won't be surprised to hear that the pigment that's going to come out is red. It's very, very easy to extract pigment from poppy petals. I'm going to add a little bit of coarse sea salt, as you can see, that just helps you grind it. I picked the petals, that's a tongue twister, this morning, but I didn't pull them off the plant. The lovely thing about poppy petals is just wait until they've fallen. So as long as you've got permission of the landowner to be there. I've been to my community garden this morning where there's a lovely wildflower patch, and I've just picked up all the poppy petals on the ground, and nobody's going to mind. I'm not spoiling the display or anything, but it's going to give us a lovely lot of pigment. I brought them home in a container just to stop them from getting too dry or squashed on the way home. It's just a little thing I had lying around. Used to have chewing gum in it, so that's a handy thing if you're going out doing a bit of foraging for petals. I can't show you me crushing at the minute because that's a two-handed job and I haven't got myself a tripod yet, so I'll show you the results shortly. See you shortly. Okay, so you can see the result of me doing a bit of crushing. That probably took me less than a minute. Poppy petals are very, very soft and easy to crush, and you do get a bit of a mush even without adding any water. You can see that is sort of wet. But just to make it work a little bit better, I'm going to add just a couple of drops of water. Now, you really don't need to add more than that. If you do, you're going to dilute the pigment and then it won't really work as well. So just a couple of drops. If you haven't got a dropper, just use a teaspoon, but don't put in a whole teaspoonful of water because that would be too much. So we're just going to now just use a paintbrush because I want to use it for colouring paper. So it makes a water-based paint, so you can use it on watercolour paper, but of course watercolour paper is rather expensive. So I'm just going to show you that it does work even on ordinary paper. You can get, in this case we've got this dark purpley red. Now sometimes it will dry a different colour because a lot of pigments oxidize, they react with the oxygen in the air as they dry. So that colour might not stay quite the same when it's dry. But you can see that's not a bad colour. And in fact, this is working better on this paper than I expected, probably because I didn't put in so much water. But we're also going to try it later we're going to treat the paper with some soy milk. And we're going to see how that affects the colour and also how it affects the way it behaves on the paper. But I just would say that June is a fabulous time to collect poppy petals. They don't have a long season, so if you want to do this in Britain, June is a really brilliant time to do it. And don't wait till August when all the poppies will be gone. The other things you can use, but poppies are just so easy to get the pigment out of. Okay, so I've got my soy milk here now. This is about 100 mils of soy milk, which is going to be way more than we need, but that's the size of ice cube that I happen to have. And here's the paper. So this is the poppy that we painted earlier from the poppy petal pigment. And you can see it's actually looking really quite blue now that it's dried, which is interesting, but we might talk some more about that later. What I'm going to do on the other side of the paper, we're now going to prep it with the soy milk. So I'm going to start just painting it on. You don't need to do anything fancy, you're just going to paint it on and then we're going to let it dry. And in this heat, it's likely that it's going to dry quite quickly. And then we can put some more of the poppy pigment on it, and we can see the difference when the paper has been pre-treated. But because I've got more soy milk than I really need for this bit of paper, like a lot more, I'm going to also just try a little bit of cloth. Now the cloth is, I don't know what it's made of, it's an old bit of an old curtain lining. And I was thinking that maybe it might be fun to use some of the pigment to make something like bunting. So I've just cut a little triangle. It's really just a little experiment because I've got the soy milk ready. Particularly because I think this has got polyester in it. I'm pretty sure it's got cotton in, but I tried it before and it doesn't colour it very well. It goes a bit spotty. I was not very happy with the result. So I thought we'll try the same technique with the soy milk. According to Copilot, the reason it works is that the soya milk is a protein. And if you have done any dyeing with plant dyes, you'll probably know that they're best used for protein-based fabrics. So that would be animal-based fabric, so that would be wool or silk. Cotton, because it's a plant material, is a cellulose-based fabric, and so you need different dyes for that because they stick to the cellulose molecules differently. And because the milk itself has got protein in it, even though this is soy milk, it's not dairy milk, that gives something for the dye to stick to. It'll actually stick to the protein molecules in the milk. So it's the same principle as with the paper, but it's even better because if you use dyes on cotton, you often need to use some quite nasty chemicals called mordants to get the dye to stick. But this clever hack, which I understand was first used by the Japanese. I need to check that, but that was what I've heard. It means that you can get the dye to stick to the fabric without using these nasty mordants. And I mean, that's good for pollution as well, because some of the mordants are quite toxic and can cause a lot of pollution. But it means that we can use dyes that you wouldn't otherwise be able to use for cotton, and it's just it's a prep. So you don't put it in like a mordant with the dye, you prep the paper or the cloth with it. Now the interesting thing, apparently, because I thought, well, it's just going to wash off, isn't it? But apparently it doesn't. So there's our poppy pigment ready for use later. I've just had it in the fridge because obviously it is perishable, it's petals, so it's perishable and it's wet. I don't want it to start going mouldy, especially in this heat. So we're going to try that, but obviously we have to let this dry first. So I'm just going to put my paintbrush down. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put this little triangle of cloth into the milk. Now I'm just going to smoosh it around like that, and then I'm going to hang it up to dry. And I'm going to do that over the sink indoors because it's so hot outside. I think it actually might be too hot for the ideal conditions. But yeah, I mean, that's all you do. Smoosh it around a little bit, and then I'm going to hang it up to dry. So I'll see you later when it's all dried, and we'll have a go and see what results we can get then. Right, we're ready for the next step. So I could already see from the cloth that I'd used that I didn't think it was going to take very well, and I decided that that was because it was probably quite a high polyester rather than cotton in the fabric. And so I've decided I'm going to go back a step. I've crushed up some more petals over here, so we've got a bit more pigment. I've now got a hanky, and I'm pretty confident this time that it is 100% cotton. So we're going to do a little experiment. After I was a bit disappointed with the soy milk treatment on the paper, we're going to do a proper controlled experiment, and we're going to have one piece in the soy milk and one piece that I'm just going to put straight into the dye. The one that goes in the soy milk will go in the dye afterwards. So let's start with this one. And what I've done slightly differently, to release a bit more pigment, I did use a bit of hot water, not boiling, but just, you know, hot, sort of boil it and then let it cool down for 5 minutes or something like that. Just at the end, just to try and give us a bit more release of pigment. And then what I'm going to do this time, because I saw what happened on the other cloth, it's had a lot of bits sticking to it as well, which I thought wasn't ideal. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to strain. I'm not going to try and put it through a strainer. I'm just going to tip the liquid out before I put the cloth in, just so that we get the really big bits of the petals out. So, put my hand over that, it's a bit hard to show you that. So you can see now that we've got pigment in that dish there. I'm going to just bring that over here and see if I can squeeze a bit more out, because I think if I squish that up a bit, it's a bit like a sponge really. If I squish that up a bit more, I should be able to get a bit more out of there. So there we are, in it goes, a bit more pigment. I can always add a little bit more if I need to. So now I'm going to put this piece of fabric straight into the pigment and see how that goes, see how that takes. Again, you've got the same sort of crushed blackberry colour coming out. The sort of thing, if your kids got it on your t-shirt, you'd be horrified. But obviously this is the colour that we want. And as I said before, I mean, it's very beetrooty actually now, isn't it? It's probably a lot more blue because of the hard water. It does affect the colour, the acidity of the water. Soft water is more acidic than hard water. And so in this hard water that we have here, it's going to tend towards the blue end. Now we can see that that's pretty much soaked up all the pigment and it's not fully dyed yet. So I'm just going to try, there's a little bit more in the bottom there. I'm going to try and squeeze that out as well. Let's see if we can pour that in. Yeah, there's a little bit more. Let's just keep moving that around, see if there's any more wetness in there. This is why I wouldn't think that you're going to be using petals to dye large amounts of fabric. But then again, I haven't used all the petals I collected this morning. That's the little pot I put them in. You can still see there's still quite a few left in there. But this is just one piece of something I thought might be the right size for a bit of bunting. And I thought you could use different colours for the different triangles on the bunting. So you can be conservative with it. Don't think you're going to start dyeing your t-shirts, or at least not a whole t-shirt. Let's see if we can get even more out. I might just have to finish this by putting a few more petals in and squeezing out the last there, because I do need some more, obviously, for the other piece of cloth when I've treated it with soya milk. So, okay, let's just get that last little bit in there. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off the camera now. The other piece is going in the soya milk like we did before. I'll just pop that in there now. That one's going to hang up to dry. This one's going to hang up to dry. But I think I'm going to probably just crush a little bit more, or maybe I'll add a little bit more water to it to just give it a little bit more pigment out. I'll hang them both up to dry, and then when that one's dry, we'll treat that the same as this one, and then we'll compare them when they're both dry and see if the soya milk has really helped. I'm really hopeful that it will, but I can't be sure. I thought I'd just bring you out and show you how the dye is taking. So this one is the soya treated polyester and cotton, and yeah, it's taken okay. It's a bit patchy. That's partly because I didn't strain it. You can see the lumps of the petals on it there. It's not awful, but it's not brilliant. This one is the one that I did originally. I think probably the pigment was a bit weaker, so it's not the best comparison. But if you look at the two, you can see that the soya does seem to have made a difference. It's definitely taken better than that. Partly because you can see these little dots all over it. It went kind of measly, and that's because the cellulose just doesn't like the dye. So it's definitely more even. The patches are the petals in this case, not the way the dye's stuck to the fabric. That's interesting because that's where a large patch of petal, I just peeled it off, was. So yeah, I think the soy has done something to the fabric. But then if we compare now, that's a polycotton. This is a cotton fabric, and look at the difference. Already it's actually taken so much better because it's not got that synthetic polyester, which the dye really won't take to. So that's interesting, but dyes are usually not fast. The water-based dyes, they're not fast on cotton, so that's lovely. If you didn't want to wash it, you know, like I said, we were doing bunting, I thought that would be a good thing to do because you wouldn't need to wash it, certainly not very often. And then at the back there, I've just got the final piece that I'm going to do as a comparison. So that's the soya treated fabric, and we're going to dye that with the petal pigment later, and then I'll show you the final comparison when I've done that.